Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode on the TerraScape realm. This is episode 5, I believe, and let's try this again. This is episode 5, I believe, and I actually can't call this a realm anymore because we moved it over to a server, and it is super exciting because everything works so much better. Everything's clearer, less laggy, and the best part is after working a very hard day at work, I don't come home to not being able to log into the realm and then having to wait like 3 days to be able to actually get on and play. It's the best. I'm excited for it. But anyways, I have been super busy in between episodes. I worked on what I told you I was going to at the end of last episode, and I dug this next tunnel out to 500, or I guess it's negative 500 this way. But oh my goodness, I have decided that the worst mob in Minecraft are these guys. They're literally the worst. They weren't so bad at first, but when you're constantly being interrupted by this and then like 6 more of them and they're just constantly attacking you, it's the worst. But we now only have one more tunnel left to dig out, and yep, I am also going to do this one off camera because if there's one thing that you don't want to see is me constantly digging in a straight path. That's pretty boring. So I'm going to do that off camera. And for today's episode, I have got some pretty big plans, and they are back over at the base. Well, we're actually on the small island beside the base. We're at the original location of my base, my starter house. This is my little tiny, what used to be like a little tiny igloo, but yep, it got destroyed by the Wither. And if you remember in the first episode, I explained that I tried to fight the Wither. It blew up my mine shaft, went up through my mine shaft, blew up my starting house, and then I had to kill it in a boat. It was something. It was definitely one for the books. But anyways, we're over here because I haven't wanted to tear this place down. It's just like, I guess, sentimental or something like that. I didn't want to tear it down, but the more and more I look at it, it's definitely an eyesore. And you can probably tell that I don't have wings yet. I lost them in the last episode. That lava really got to me. I lost them. My camera account has my other set of wings, but I haven't put them on yet because I really don't have a use for them. And that's because I don't have any fireworks. I don't have any rockets to fly around with them. So in today's episode, we're going to build a creeper farm, but we're not only going to build a creeper farm, we're going to make a really awesome building out of it. And the starter base is sadly going to have to go. I think I can figure out a way to leave this block and my first diamond here as kind of like a tribute to the old base, especially since the Wither blew up everything except for that. And so that's definitely got to stay. We're going to leave it there. We're going to make it a part of the design. And I've actually got a lot of supplies. Well, let me start on this end. I've actually got a lot of supplies ready to build this base. Or not base, sorry. I've actually got a lot of supplies ready to build this creeper farm. But the one thing I am missing still is I don't have any wood. That is what this shulker box right here is for. I don't have any wood, and I've chopped down all the wood around me. So I think before we can get started on this, I'm going to clear this out, and I'm going to make some kind of little temporary tree farm. Alright, I've got the remnants of the igloo taken care of, and I went ahead and filled this in with dirt and put in kind of a layout here so we can easily just go along and boop, 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 boop. And then, of course, I left the block here so we can build the building around it. And I actually want to set a timer and see, or a stopwatch, and see exactly how long it's going to take to get a full shulker box of spruce logs. Let's go. Okay, I just went through the first round and it took 7 minutes and 42 seconds to go all the way through it. And I did actually have to go back to the base and grab a bed, so a little bit more time. The real thing that's slowing me down though is that these trees don't really when they grow up one block past where I gotta reach, it takes time for me to like build the block up and then mine it and then dig it back down. So I think before I do the next layer, I'm gonna put some blocks above it to stop it from growing where I can't reach it. Alright, now that we have this terrible dirt roof above our heads, let's start that stopwatch back up and go at this again. Alright, this is the last little bit right here, and nice, we went a little bit over, but that took exactly 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 46 seconds, which is a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but super thrilled to have this much wood. Hopefully, I won't need to get a lot for the future. And my dirt platform didn't really work. I thought blocks above it stopped them from growing, but apparently they can just grow right through it. I mean, they can grow through anything, I guess. I was standing right here, and I was making more bone meal, and it grew through me and almost killed me. But with this out of the way, I'm super excited to get working on the creeper farm, but before we do that, let's actually hop over into my creative world and look at the design I've got for this thing. Alright, we're over here in my creative testing world, and this is the design for the creeper farm. It was created by JC Playz. I will leave a link in the description, like I always do, and it is actually super easy to build. It is honestly a lot easier to build than my first attempt at a creeper farm, and it's actually built at the right height, so it's going to be super easy to build. There's not a lot of redstone. It takes into account that mobs think that buttons are full blocks. So we can actually come and just line across here. And the mobs will just fall right off into the water. Makes it super easy. And this is the design I was thinking for the building. I really like it. It does kind of clash with the main base. But I'm actually thinking the more I look at the black trim on this, I think I want to incorporate that into the main base, and then the red brings a lot more color into this building or into this area, and so I really like it. I think we're going to go with it, and then we're going to kind of work around it, and other buildings and stuff that we design around here are going to kind of match the theme. And the only thing that I'm just not sure about are some of the small details. Like, I'm not sure how I like how this is kind of hanging over the edge here, so we may have to come and terraform the land around it. But first things first, I want to get this thing built because I need some gunpowder. So let's get back on the server and get at it. Alright, I'm back over here on the server, and I actually took a small break in between these two clips and got me some ice cream, so I am ready to go. We've got a pretty big mess we've got to clean up first, and thanks to 116, I think I know exactly the tool we need. That's right, hoes are now super useful and are really great at clearing out leaves. They have finally earned their place on the hotbar. But let me get this cleared out, and then we'll get started on this thing. With all that cleared out, we can finally start laying down some blocks for this thing. But I'm sitting here thinking about what the best way to go about that is, because I built it in creative, and it's super easy to start from the top and work my way down, but you can't really do that in survival. So we've kind of got to start from the bottom up. So I'm thinking the best way to go about it is to go ahead and put the frame of the building in, and then once we've made sure that all the measurements are right, everything's lined out perfectly, then we can go in and fill all the details in and put the iron farm in the middle. Alright, we've got the general outline of the building in place, and I actually had to stop and make a concrete machine because, yeah, I didn't craft up any of that concrete, but, you know, we'll just make it as we go. So I think the next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and put the iron farm in place before I put the rest of the building in here, just to make sure, triple check myself, make sure all the measurements are right, and because I don't want to build up this whole building and then the farm not fit inside of it. That would really suck. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll worry about all the details and framing the rest of the thing up right after. But actually, before I do that, I'm going to AFK for the night because I need to get as much iron blocks as I can to frame out the creeper farm and for a bunch of little details down there. And I've got to say, this thing is looking super cool from over here. Even though it's just the frame, it's already looking super cool. I'm gonna AFK for the night, and I will see y'all in the morning. Okay, I've been AFK all night, and most of the day too, actually. You can see that I've already crafted up a ton of iron, and there's still a ton left in here. But look at this. I'm generating a lot of little followers down there, right? But I think we have, hopefully, enough iron to go ahead and get the iron farm framed out, and hopefully this is enough to complete the whole build. If not, may have to make another AFK session. We'll see about it. I also find it really funny that before I started all this, I went and searched for some red flowers, some of the too tall red flowers, and yeah, I completely forgot about these. This should be more than enough dye for this whole thing. Playing on the Bedrock Edition, this is the first time I've ever seen this much iron, especially after just one night of AFKing. This is super great. Massive shout out to Mojang for finally fixing our iron farm so where they actually produce something more than just string. Also, another massive shout out, I shouted out in the last video, but Silent Whisperer, this is his design. It is super great, super easy to build. Okay, good news and bad news. The bad news first, I did severely underestimate how much iron it was going to take. This is the first layer, and yeah, this is all the iron I've got left, and I've still got to go up 5 more layers. But the good news is that the creeper farm itself doesn't actually have to be built out of iron blocks, does it? Because it's going to be completely surrounded by a building. And while that may have been a major flex to build the whole thing out of iron blocks, I'm ready to get this thing built. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and put in the buttons and the trap doors. So this thing is pretty much ready to go, but we're going to wait to put the roof on until the whole thing is completely built. So while I'm building up the walls and everything like that, creepers aren't exploding on me. All the buttons and the trapdoors are in place, except for the last of the trapdoors that have got to go in the ceiling. But with the majority of the creeper farm done, we can go ahead and start building up around this. And I think it's going to be best to go ahead and do that in a third-person time-lapse. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more framework in and gather up the rest of the concrete and stuff I need to get. And then I will see y'all at the end of the time-lapse. Okay, small break from the time lapse, and this thing is looking great. What looks like probably about 2 minutes to y'all was about 3 or 4 hours to me. And based on the amount of black concrete I placed just to frame this thing out, I am definitely going to need more supplies. But that's not going to be very interesting, so I will gather that up and see you at the end of the rest of this time lapse. Alright, I am about 99% done with this. All I really have left to do is put the ceiling in, do some mob proofing, put in the water down there, and then put some hoppers down below to catch the creepers when they fall. But this whole time, I've been dying to see something. I really want to know if I'll survive if I jump down there. So, here goes. 3, 2, 1. Hey! Alright. 3.5 hearts. I guess my next building has got to be taller. But I am really happy with the way this thing turned out. It is looking super, super cool. And it is actually really ginormous. That means probably down the line, the base is going to have to get even taller. Because this is really supposed to be the biggest building in the area. But, I mean, it is definitely bigger. This is just much, much taller. Okay, so I got the rest of the details on the creeper farm finished up last night. Finally got this thing running. But it was pretty late when I finished, so I went ahead and did an AFK session, and yeah, that's a lot of gunpowder. But honestly, I expected there to be more, and I really honestly think that's only because of where I AFK'd at, because there was still some mobs down here spawning, and some mobs in the water spawning, but I think I'm going to move my AFK spot to on the roof, so hopefully that should take care of that. Now that we've finally got some gunpowder, I can get my wings back. Whoop whoop. Oh, maybe. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And while we're down here, I wanted to go ahead and talk about what the plans for the interior of this place was, because there's still tons of space left. And yep, the creeper farm's not the only thing going in here. So I actually don't want this just to be a housing spot for the creeper farm. I really want this to be like an all-in-one rocket factory. And that means we're going to have to put some kind of massive sugarcane farm in here and then kind of funnel everything into the middle. It's going to be really, really awesome. I haven't really worked out the details for it yet. I just know that my sugarcane farm over there, my small one, it doesn't produce near enough sugarcane to keep up with the amount of gunpowder that's coming through here. And you may have noticed over here, remember at the start of this, I was like, okay, we're going to incorporate the first diamond into this build, and I miscalculated by 1 block. So I'm somehow going to have to figure out a way to edit the design that we've got for the building to reincorporate this, because right now if you look around at the back, you're like, why is that block there? It looks out of place. I've definitely got to make an entrance for this factory, because every time I want to enter or leave, I just mine out blocks and replace it, or swim underneath it. And I've also got to do some major terraforming, like I said earlier, because I was taking a look at this thing earlier, and I really do think it will fit in a lot better once the land, it's actually sitting on some land and not just floating in places. But all that's going to have to be done in another episode, because we're almost out of time, and I've got a couple of things I want to do before we finish this episode off. But before we do that, now that we've got wings, let's actually take a look at it from the sky and see how awesome this looks. Oh yeah, that's amazing. I am really happy with that. I've only seen it in creative with one side done. And yeah, that is awesome. Oh, I love it. I love it a lot. And I'm already getting some good ideas for an AFK platform up there. Just maybe kind of arch the building over. We'll see about that. Like I said, gonna have to wait for another episode for that. But in the meantime, I will be playing around with that idea, see what I can work out. I see another potential reason why the creeper farm wasn't producing enough gunpowder, and yeah, I've definitely got to do something about this. This is pretty terrifying, but we're gonna put that off too. We're gonna wait on that. I've got to get a lot more sea lanterns and stuff like that before we do anything with that. And I've actually got some big plans for this floor, but I've really got to kind of work things out in my head before I reveal it. You know, I want to make sure that it's for sure what I'm gonna do. But while I'm over here repairing my tools, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to do next. The last thing I want to do for this episode is go ahead and make some more progress on the mini game. The one we started last episode, and we got the building pretty much done, but we didn't really finish the game itself. And that is because of two reasons. One, I don't have enough loot and prizes and stuff like that to really stock the game. So I'm going to have to do a major mining session and gathering up diamonds and stuff like that, and I'll probably do most of that in between episodes. But the second reason is that it's going to take a lot of fire resistant potions, and I don't have the means of crafting that yet, or at least I don't think so. I really am not sure what the recipe calls for, so we're going to try to figure out how to make those today, get a little setup going, and get that worked out so we can go ahead and check that off of our list of stuff to complete for this mini game. So looking at the recipe, it calls for nether warts, which I have none of. It also calls for blaze rods to fuel the brewing stand, which I also have none of. But it also calls for magma cream, and I do know that I have tons of magma cream from digging out these tunnels and dealing with these guys. I've got tons of it somewhere deep in this chest. So let me see how much I can round up real quick. After gathering up that magma cream, this is how much I managed to get, and that's a pretty good amount, but that still leaves me with the problem of getting the other two ingredients. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to make two farms. I'm going to have to make a blaze farm and a netherwort farm, and that's going to be a pretty big project. So I think we're going to forego that completely. We're going to build a piglin farm because I'm 99% sure that they drop fire resistant potions and other great stuff like gravel. But that's going to be a pretty big project on its own. So I think we're going to do that in the next episode, as well as gather up the prizes if I don't gather up most of them in between episodes. And I think to finish off this episode, we're just going to go ahead and finish decorating this mini game. So we're going to go ahead and put the lighting in place, put the sign outside, put the rule book down explaining everything that's going on, and then put some final little details in place to make this place look really, really cool. I've now got all the details in, and I've got to say this place is looking pretty ominous. I may have went a little over the top with the chains and the lanterns, but I think it looks pretty good. I even put chains on the windows, and then we've got our lava loot sign. I couldn't fit the whole words on there, so we just went with LL. And we also put in a pathway here with the gravel and the basalt, which I think make a really cool texture. And I even added some magma cubes and fire and a crater over there just to tie into the fiery depths theme. And then the inside's still pretty simple. I didn't do too much in here. I just added a chandelier, a few more chains and lanterns, and then I put in the rule books and the payment chests and stuff. The rules are pretty simple. They just say, welcome to Lava Loot. This mini game is full of lava and treasure. You will dive into lava and find chests with prizes. Here's the catch though. Once you jump in, you can't get out until you find a chest. Remove any items and store them in the chest by the bed. Set your spawn. Place a diamond in the chest to the right for payment. Down a fire resistant potion, and you will have 3 minutes to find a chest. Once you find a chest, you will be given another fire resistance potion as well as loot. At this point, you can leave the game or continue to search for another chest, but if you leave the lava, your game ends and you have to pay again to re-enter. The loot gets better the farther in you go, and there is also a mega grand prize really, really far down. Is the risk worth the reward? I'm excited to get the minigame open, and I honestly want to get started on the piglin farm right now, but we're out of time, so we're going to have to wait and do that in the next episode. But leave me a comment down below, letting me know what your thoughts are on the minigame, and if you have any ideas, please share them with me. I scroll through the comments pretty often and would love to read them. But if you haven't already, hit that like button, and if you want to see future content, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.